This content is recreated to fit YouTube's policies, fair use, and licensed content. Welcome back to another episode of Whip Media TV. I'm your host, Whip Media Mickey, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to the channel, you know what to do to the channel. Subscribe right now. Join the Vibe Tribe. Okay, on today's episode, I got something really special for you guys. Today I'm covering the law of Carlito's Way. See, Carlito's Way is a crime drama about an ex-con who returned from prison only to be pulled back to the life he wanted most to leave behind. Here's a guy with a long list of crimes who is now free from jail after a lawyer got him out on a judicial technicality. See, Carlito is getting his second chance and he's not gonna let it go to waste. He says he's legit. No more crime, 5 years in prison showed him the path of righteousness. Back on the streets of Spanish Harlem, the old crowd is happy to see him. But he's left the life of crime behind. He wants to rent cars and get enough cash to retire in the Caribbean. He tells this to his best friend and lawyer, David Kleinfield, who isn't entirely convinced, nor should he be. See, Carlito ain't exactly got himself a solid plan, and it's really only a matter of time before he falls back in with his old ways. That happens almost immediately. See, while accompanying his younger cousin on a drug deal in a local tavern, things go just a little sour. A fight breaks out and inside, a few guys get smashed with pool cues. There's some throat slicing, a lot of gunfire, and bloody bodies are all over the place. See, his poor cousin has met his untimely doom. He decides the heaps of cash lying around the bloody place are in need of a new home. Guessing even dollars need a fresh start once in a while. That new home is his pocket, and now that they're deep, he buys into a gangster-owned nightclub. It's there where he meets Benny Blanco from the Bronx, who right away wants to partner up for some shady business. Carlito also gets that deep down, longing feeling for the lost love of Gail, his ex from before prison. He finds her working days as a ballet dancer and nights on a stripper pole. Meanwhile, Kleinfield has got himself into some very hot water. Seems like he mismanaged a cool $1 million from his currently incarcerated mob boss client. And when I say mismanaged, I mean outright stole. See, the boss threatens to dump his sleazy body into the East River, and the only way he won't is if Kleinfield helps him escape. All he has to do is show up with the boat and pick him up. Everything else is set. Kleinfield has no choice and begs Carlito for help. Kleinfield assures Carlito that once he rescues the boss, he's a dead man, and he thinks if Carlito is on the boat, he'll be safe because nothing bad has ever happened with Carlito around. See, the problem is that Kleinfield is too coked up and strung out to see that. He's too coked up and strung out to see just about anything, and is a constant paranoid wreck. He hates everyone, trusts only Carlito, and is about as fun to be around as well. A paranoid coked up lawyer, too strung out to see what he's doing. At the nightclub, one evening he goes too far after insulting some Italian patrons. He spills the beans to Gail that Carlito and he are taking a boat ride. That raises her suspicions, and back at her place, she and Carlito argue, with him eventually walking out. And out on the boat, in the middle of the night, Kleinfield and Carlito and the boss's son arrive at the designated spot, and there they find the old mobster clinging to a buoy in the choppy water, just as planned. But that plan is about to get Kleinfield killed. Instead of picking up the mob boss, he does off with the son and then beats the old guy to death with a crowbar, tossing him into the East River just as he had been threatened with if he didn't comply. Sweet irony. See, this does not go over well with Carlito, who had only come along because of the debt he felt he owes his friend. Now he's got a mob boss murder on his hands, and he's thinking this might not go over well, with those hoping the boss would make it out the prison alive. He's right. For a guy trying to live it clean, he's got just about every part of himself back in the street life. See, Carlito, despite a rough start with his cousin getting killed at the drug deal gone wrong, has been doing well for himself, setting up shop in the nightclub, regaining his old position power. While the place is partly owned by the mob, he's been doing his part legit. Carlito isn't impressed by Benny Blanco from the Bronx. When Benny tries one more time to give Carlito respect but demands some for himself, Carlito and his shooter is sitting at the table in the club. Across the way, Benny sends a bottle of champagne to the table, still trying to get in with Carlito. But Carlito isn't having anything to do with it. He recognizes that Benny is weak, that he's nothing but a punk, thinking he's bigger and better than he has a right to believe. See, Carlito came up with made people, ones who came up just as hard as earning their way to the top. Benny's a small time and thinks he's not trying to flash his way up instead of living it the way a made man does. He's a small time and will always be a small time Benny, hoping to keep face with the goons behind him. Well, Benny finally snaps and lunges at his girl, which springs Kleinfield into action. He swiftly draws out a snub-nosed revolver and points it at Benny's face. From there, chaos breaks out and the struggle ensues. With goons drawing weapons, Carlito stays calm and orders Kleinfield to put his away. He does, and as soon as Carlito's boys have all of Benny's boys separated and strong-armed, Benny gets dragged up to the office while the henchmen are tossed. Two thugs, including Carlito's right-hand man, have a hold on Benny. They got him hemmed up. As they post with him hemmed up at the stairwell leading to the back alley, Carlito warns him straight. If he shows his face again, he's dead. Benny, recognizing he's probably gonna draw his last breath anyway, gets in Carlito's face. Benny says, "I'll kill you." Carlito flips and whacks Benny from the Bronx on the head, sending him bleeding head over heels down the stairs. Then they carry the crumpled up body out the alleyway, and we expect Carlito is gonna have his boys advance the young man's expiration date. That's certainly what the goons want, especially Pachenga. But Carlito shows mercy and tells his thugs to let Benny go. The moment is crucial. From this, 3 divergent stories are born and reveal exactly how Carlito will meet his fate. By walking away, letting Benny go, and showing mercy when he should, by the rules of the street, have brutally murdered him, Carlito weakens his position, too proud and too sure of his status. He is blind to the repercussions, and the repercussions are great. See, Benny survives and doesn't see mercy as a gift. Pachenga turns feeling frustrated and let down by Carlito's continued efforts to go straight and leave the streets behind him. Pachenga has had enough. He's looking to go bigger, to be stronger, and to be made, and he finds all of that in the form of Benny Blanco from the Bronx. See, none of this is understood until the last scene of the film. That's how well crafted the moment is. Carlito walks away while Benny and the 2 goons stand over him. Just as his thoughts and ambitions are doing in real life, he moves off to one side, making a choice. A shallow stream of dirty water separates Carlito from the others, signifying his departure and transition to the other side, leaving the streets behind him. See, Pachenga watches and lifts his arms in frustration, the first sign that he is unhappy, and a clue that his actions from now on will remain behind Carlito's back. And Benny is out of view, slumped and hidden behind a toppled trash can, which itself represents the Bronx mobster. He is trash, meant to be forgotten. See, the main story about Kleinfield and Carlito, or so we are meant to believe, it's about brutal and vengeful hand of the mob. The punk, the dime bagger, who thought himself something more than who he was, that should be remembered, it was he who proves the most dangerous, killing Carlito in the end.